to be called Substance, but it was rebranded to Polkadot right? So it can be used to on Polkadot chains, right? Like Pop Network, like after that, I bring up a list of the chains, like Osama and likes. Let me just bring up a list of the chains now. Let's deploy in contracts. Okay, some things have been changed. Yeah. Let me share my entire screen so I've just one. So let me go down my slides, right? Where can you deploy your in contracts? Right. So these are the places where you can deploy your Inc. V6 contracts currently. Right. On Inc. V5, there were more. For Inc. V5, there were more chains, right? Like Aleph Zero. Anybody heard about Aleph Zero before?
Hi, Femi.
Hey, Alan, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So, some of my guys are saying that they are waiting for you to join them in.
Okay, can you confirm again, because I don't have, I just added some people now, admitted them, so I don't have anybody on the queue. As they come up, I admit them.
Have you assigned Oma?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Let me just confirm. Oma dot. All right. So yeah, these are some of the networks you can deploy in contracts now, right? So like I said, Inc is a smart contract programming language based entirely on Rust. In fact, it is practically Rust, right? It's called an embedded domain-specific language, which in layman terms means that we tweaked Rust, or we use Rust and something called macros, right? And we created a new language that is basically just Rust. Okay, and so Ink works on Polkadot and related chains, right? Chains that integrates something called a palette, which is another name for module, for running Ink, right? This is very distracting. So I have to take note of this for the next class. I'll need someone else to be in charge of this Polkadot Africa accounts while I admit people. Okay, so diving in, let's talk about. So what to really this we did some introduction previously, and we are trying to make this class more about how to start, right? What to do when you want to start coding with Ink. Oh my days. I don't know. There has to be a point where I stop admitting people. All right. Let me share my entire screen so you can see even while I use the. Okay. Share screen. All right. So, 4 simple steps to creating your first Ink project, right? So here we are. I hope you can see this. This is the Ink documentation. Right. These are the simple steps to creating your ink project.
Femi, you can see your screen.
You can see my screen. All right. All right. So I'm going to demonstrate this. I'll start with my terminal. I'm sorry, guys, if I'm a bit disorganized. I'm having to admit people and do this at the same time. Okay. Please let me know if you can see my terminal. All right. So what's the first step? First of all, you need to ensure that Rust and Cargo are installed on your laptop, right? And this is a link for installing Rust and Cargo. Sorry, can you see my screen? Because I just saw a text message. Just one second, you can see my screen.
Yes, Femi, you can see your screen.
All right, awesome.
Good.
So, but I already have Rust and Cargo installed, so I'm going to skip this, right? Next step is to do this. All right, this enables you use some libraries in Rust, right, in your ink project because ink needs them, right? I've already done this, but I'll just run the code, right? Rust source is up to date, right? Then next you install, Cargo contract, but the Cargo contract you are going to install is the V6 version. And we are going to talk about V6 a bit more soon, right? So ink is currently on version 6. I'll show you guys my. All right, ink is currently on version 6. And there are some improvements that version 6 brings. Okay. So we installed that, Cargo contracts. All right, but as you can see, mine is already installed. But yeah, just to let you know. And there are two things you need to have when you're working with Rust. You need to have enough data and enough space on your laptop, right? Because some of the things can be, David's laughing, can be quite heavy. Not too heavy, but yeah, it gets. So just to prepare you. And so after doing that, the next step would be this, right? So this is basically running the Cargo contract templates. Like to this command, what it does is it allows you, it automatically creates a simple template for you, right? A simple template in ink, right? Which is this flipper. And then what we are doing here also is after creating that template, like we are now seeding into the folder. All right, someone wants to speak. Who wants to speak, please? Okay, I thought someone raised their hand. Okay, so I'll just open my code editor now so we can see what is in that folder. Yeah, I hope you can see my code editor. All right.
Yes, Femi, you can see.
Thank you. Alan, or Cherry, please give me cues with your voice instead of signs.
Okay.
So we're able to change quickly. All right, so
Okay.
this is a basic template that was created automatically for us, right? It has a few things in it, right? A few functions that do some important things, right? This is us creating a struct. For those who are familiar with ink, right? These are like macros, right? And this is what we call, this is essentially what makes ink different from Rust, quote and unquote, right? We use this in Rust too, but by annotating our ink functions and structs and orders with things like this called macros, we're able to generate automatic code, Rust code, right? That does some magic for us, right? So for example, you want to do cross contract calling, right? But we are using ink, right? So instead of using, say, 10 lines of code with Rust, with ink, you probably use like 3 lines of code because we are using something like this that when it's time to compile, the compiler, what I say, expands it, and there are some other lines of code that the compiler interprets and uses it to do that cross contract calling, right? So this makes it more efficient to do contract specific things with Rust. So this is what ink is about. I have someone that wants to join. People actually. Oh my. I will have to close this. Okay. I want to close my Telegram so my secrets don't get exposed. All right, so moving on. So this is a basic template, right? So this is the first part where our contract is, and this is the second part where we are doing our testing, right? And we have the regular git ignore here that every programmer should know about. If you don't know about this, you should probably not be on this call. And then we have this cargo.toml, which is basically your package.json if you are familiar with the JavaScript ecosystem, right? So this is your cargo.toml. That's dependencies, libraries that you use, features, right? This STD stands for standard library, right? The dependency for end-to-end testing. This is the version of ink we are using, right? This is just who's unmuted. This one is just standard metadata stuff, right? And I need to mute someone.
Ahmad, do you have a question? Ahmad?
I just muted him. I guess he or she are muted.
It was okay, good.
Unintentionally. All right, so now we are going to build our contract, right? So if you don't, I guess people understand the concept of building, right? Building is just making it production ready, right? It's basically making it production ready. So you basically pass it through some form of engine, right, that interprets what you've written and compiles it, right, to something that you will then say send on chain. All right, so let me build that. So someone wants to join. Okay, Raj is here, one of our tutors. So I want to build that on this cargo contract build release. So notice we are using the cargo contract tool, right? People who are familiar with Rust know what cargo is. So cargo contract is a tool specifically used to interact or manage the ink, right? It's a smart contract, a Rust-based smart contract. So yeah, we are building it, and this might be a challenge. In fact, that takes some time, but maybe not too much time. Okay, so while it builds, let me see if I can talk about something else. Where's my slide? Okay, so we've created the default contracts, right? And we are building our contracts. Let me start my development node. Okay, so I have so we want to run this locally, right? So we need a node, right, that will simulate the blockchain, right? And Ink as oh, that's good. Allow me to do something. Okay. Either Olamide or Sanchez. Would it be possible for one of you to, while I'm using the Polkadot.Africa account, can you people still also use it? Because I would like if someone helps admit people or moderates while I'm presenting.
Okay, yeah, I can use it as well.
All right, that'll be great. Okay, so we have ink node. So there are several ways to get this ink node, right? But the easiest way is just to download it, right? Download it. I'm using a Mac currently. So I just downloaded my source code for my Mac and I unzipped it. So I already have it on my laptop. Go to different folders. We are down. Projects. Ink node. Mac. So terminal folder. All right. So I just want to start my node to get everything running while we wait for this to compile up. Doesn't take too long. That'll be so yeah. In this doc, there is a command to get your node to start. Yeah, Sam. Is this Samuel?
I just want to ask, how did you go about the node? Like after downloading, it seems you moved it to another folder or something.
Oh no, it's I just download and unzipped. I didn't just download now. I downloaded it a long time ago, right? But once you download, it comes in a zip folder, right? I believe, yeah. Then you unzip it. So that's its own folder. So you don't need to do anything special, right? You don't have to have it in the same folder as your file, as your ink file, right? Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Right. So after downloading it, someone wants to ask a question. Ayana Rich. Oh, wow, I like that name. Rich.
Quinta, you can ask your question.
Hi, Femi. Okay. On the just clear, like Samson, I've asked the same thing, but to me, it's not that clear. Like after downloading this node, you unzip it, then you take it to the folder that you are using to build the contract, or you can parallel, like run it on different side.
Yes, you can run it in a different folder. You don't have to take it to the folder. Yeah.
Okay.
So the only thing you need to do when you unzip it is to make it executable by running this command. But I've already made it executable, right? So For example, if you look at my ink node now, okay, let me run this command. You see that there is no effect. But if you run it for your own, you'll notice that initially it won't show this exec if you are using a Mac, but after running it, it show this exec sign and the color will change. So that's how you know that it's executable. So once that is done, you made it executable with that command, then you just start it. I actually wrote this part of the documentation because I tried using this, it didn't work for me, so I had to use the other command. So apparently this works for some people. But let me try it now. Yeah, so it says command not found, but when I do this, I'm able to start the node. Yeah, so now I have a Polkadot blockchain, a substrate chain running on my local node that supports ink, right? So take note, not all chains built with the Polkadot SDK supports ink. Why? Because you have to actually intentionally support it, right? But there's an easy way to support it by just adding what is called palette revive, right? A module called palette revive to your blockchain. It used to be called palette contracts, but with the advent of in V6, which I'll talk about later, it's now called palette revive because they're trying to revive something. I can't remember what. All right, so with my node running, let me check if my contract has compiled. All right. So my contract has compiled, and there are some new files that have been created. If you notice, there's a new folder called targets. It wasn't there before. And in it, I have so many things. But what's important to us is this Flipper contract. And secondly, this Flipper.poker VM and this Flipper.json. Right. So, and thankfully, this has already annotated this for us, right? So Flipper.poker VM is the compiled binary. If you use other versions of Ink, like Ink 5, what you see is Flipper.wasm. But in V6, Polkadot is adopting Poker VM as the environment for you to run your code. So it's called Flipper.poker VM, right? And the JSON is the metadata, contains the metadata, Flipper.json. And Flipper.contract, which is what's most important to us, contains both the code and the metadata. Okay. So moving on, what's the next thing we need to do? We need to instantiate our contract on chain. Let me see. All right, just making sure it's not wrong. So this instantiating your contract on chain is basically the same as deploying contracts. Yeah, Alan.
A quick question. The fourth command, the cargo contract build, is it a must to run it?
Yeah, this one. Yes, you need to run it. By running it, that's how you get these three contracts. I mean, these three files. And one of the files here, this Flipper.contracts is important for instantiating your, what's it called? Your contract on chain. I think Flipper.poker VM can also be used, but most times we just use Flipper.contract. Yeah, Quinta. Quinta, you're still muted in case you have a question.
Oh, okay. Now you can hear me.
Yeah.
So what was the main use of running cargo contract new Flipper before cargo contract build?
Okay, this cargo contract new Flipper is just to create a scaffolded code, like a default contract. Just create a default contract, right? So if you recall, when we initially ran Flipper, this folder was created, this Flipper folder was created, and these 3 files, 1, 2, 3, with the git ignore, were in the folder. And in our lib.rs, we had these contracts. So that's a command that automatically gives you a default contract. You don't have to do it. Say, for example, you are building a smart contract that doesn't follow this pattern at all, right? Maybe it doesn't have anything in common with Flipper, so you don't want to start from a template. You don't have to do that. Does that make sense? So you can just start out with after installing this, you can just start out with you just create a new folder yourself, add your cargo.toml, fill it, add your lib.rs, fill it together before you now build it. Does that answer your question? All right. So next step, we want to deploy our contracts, right? So this is cargo contract instantiate, right? It's a cargo contract command. It has some values. Yeah, Wilfred.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so sorry to take you back, but I think I missed the place where you downloaded a folder. My network was bad, so I didn't really catch that. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. I think that was where I was. In order to get the node, right? In order to get the node, which is basically like a blockchain you can run on your local computer, right? To simulate the real blockchain for testing purposes, right? I just downloaded it from here, right? So there are several ways to do this. There are many instructions online for getting a substrate node. Although this one is called ink node because it's specifically designed to work with ink, if that makes sense, right? So you could build it, but building, in my experience, is time, data, and space consuming or intensive. So I instead decided to download it. Okay, and yeah. So on downloading it, what did I do next? I just made it executable, and then I started it. All right. So next step will be to instantiate your contract, which simply means to deploy it. To deploy. All right. So I just want to explain the commands, but first let me instantiate my contracts so that it makes more sense. I will do this in the same folder I have my contracts. Right. Close this. Confirm transaction details. Your account you are submitting from is not yet mapped. So the reason why we get this is because we are using Ink v6. If you are using another version of Ink, you won't get this, right? So Ink v6, the aim is to be compatible with Solidity, right? And so one of the aims are rather, so they are kind of mapping the substrate addresses. So there are similar versions in Solidity. So I believe that's what's going on here. So I press my yes to accept. And we have this. So basically this is saying this. So first of all, a dry run is executed. What's a dry run? It's basically, first of all, they simulate the instantiation and see that it's going to go through, right? There'll be no error before actually doing the instantiation, right? So this is a cool feature that saves you gas fee and time, right? So I go ahead with the instantiation, and yeah, it's complete. So the most important information here for us is this: our contract address. So if you notice, and I'm going to put it on if you notice, it's similar to, for those of us that are familiar with Solidity, it's similar to a Solidity contract address. Right, let's put it here. So yeah, it starts with an OX and all that. Substrate contract addresses tend to start with things like 5 or 1. Right.
I think we have a question, Wilfred. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't take down my hand. Sorry. It was the one I asked earlier. Yeah.
No problem. Someone wants me to zoom in. So I won't be able to zoom in into my terminal because I know there's a way to zoom into your terminal, but I don't know. I've never really done it. I think this is a bit better. Okay. Cool. Yeah, so we have this. The next step will be to do a dry run, right? This is what I mentioned before. A dry run is basically simulating to see if your contract will work without actually running it. We'll do a dry run call of our contracts right. So this is the standard command associating your contract. So you add your maybe whether it's the C, and I think URI stands for unique resource identifier, something like that. Something to identify your signer, right? I'm sure Solidity people are also familiar with this concept. But in this node, we have a default signer called Alice, right? So we are using this Alice individual. So we have access to our address and our seed phrase. And this is an extra argument. And this is the default argument we're using to we are using to instantiate our contract, right? So we are passing because our contract accepts an argument, a Boolean argument. So we are setting it to true. And this -x means execute, right? So next, we are going to try to call our get function. This is our get function here. Where is our get function? Yeah. So this function, yes, please, who wants to ask a question? You can ask.
Hi, Femi. So what does that Suri do? What does it mean in the first place?
That Suri is it's an argument, it's a flag, right? So after this, it's telling us that, okay, it's telling the machine, right, I want to pass in the argument of, we want to pass in the details of the contract we want to use to deploy or instantiate our contract, the details of the address, excuse me, that I want to use to deploy and instantiate our contract, right? And the reason why we need to pass that in is because, it's a blockchain. Sometimes we would need to pay gas fee. We'd also need someone to maybe own the contract to be able to interact with it and all that. So here we are using Alice, the details of Alice, and ideally, if we're using another contract, another address, we would pass in the actual seed phrase of the person and all that. But this Alice individual is already programmed into the blockchain that we are using, the local blockchain we are using, right? So by passing this into it, we are able to access our address and our seed phrase. So this Suri, it stands for, this S stands for signer, and the URI stands for unique, something like unique resource identifier, something along those lines, right? It just simply means the seed phrase and the address of the person that's deploying the contracts. Is that okay? All right. I guess that's a yes. I'm sorry, I'm not looking at the screen now. So yeah, we're using Alice and all that. So we're going back to this. Now we want to call our get function. There's a get function. Right. So once we return the current value of our bool, so who can tell me what we are supposed to get? Pun intended. After we call this, what are we supposed to get after we call our get function? Yes, please, Ayo.
We should get true because when we deploy the contract, we instantiated it as true.
Yeah, correct. So this is where we instantiated it as true. Yeah, someone wants to speak, wants to add to that. About someone joined. All right, so that's it. We should get true. And so.
Hi, Femi. Just before
Hello.
I proceed, yeah. So I'm getting a lot of DMs, guys, saying that running the commands on the machines is very heavy. So if there is a lightweight version, because most people are stuck on the cargo build command. So and I mean even my laptop has freezed. So I was like,
let me look at my. So this shouldn't be funny, but let me look at my Flipper folder. Let me look at the size of my Flipper folder.
I experienced the same thing last
All right,
time when we were the event.
Okay.
But I shared the command I used with John. So I think John can share the same command with others.
All right. What was the command you used, please?
Yeah.
So you can share it with us. Personally, the only thing I know you can do, and as I've already done that, is to add the release flag. But maybe there is, this release flag. Tells you it kind of strips off things you don't really need, right? Because it tells you, okay, you are building for production. So this tends to make things a bit lighter. But if you have another technique that works, please share it with us. Okay, so let's, oh my back, sorry, that's not professional. So let's do this. So remember, this is our address, right? Our contact address. So we want to call okay. So we want to interact with our contract address. So cargo contract call. We're using Alice to interact with our contract address, right? And this is the contract address we want to interact with. And the message we are interacting with is the get message, which is I showed earlier. All right, so let's go. All right, so first of all, so this is the result that was returned, true, right? And this tells us whether is there a word, reversion? I doubt. But this tells us whether it was reverted or not. So it wasn't reverted, false, right? So this says your message call has not been executed, right? So remember I told you that time that we added this X flag to say that we want to execute our call, right? So this is a reading of the contract, right? We didn't write to the contract, so we didn't need to execute. We didn't need to consume gas, right, or resources, right? So that's why we didn't put a -X behind this, right? But now let's flip our contract. This is a flipper contract, right? So it flips from true to false. Now we got true. Let's see what we'll get next. Copy my contract again. Are you? All right, so we want to flip our contracts. Okay, so it's telling me. So first of all, there is a dry run. Remember I told you that so the palette does a dry run, right? Telling you whether your stuff can go through or not, right? Before actually executing it, which is very helpful because it helps you save gas and time, right? So the dry run says success, gives you an estimate of the gas, right? So now we have to say whether we want to go ahead. So I just typed in Y and I told it to go ahead, right? So yeah, it has successfully executed. Now let me check if I'll get the message again. I'll see if it has been flipped. So if you can see the results, the new result is what? It's false, right? So does that make sense at this point? Okay. Let me go back to my slides, right? The steps are pretty straightforward, right? For creating your first ink project, right? And I think my yeah. So we've done all this. Okay. So now I want to move to talking a bit about. Yeah, I sent the link initially earlier. I will send it again. Ink V6, right? So why Ink V6? Just a quick summary of Ink V6, right? So Polkadot is always trying to innovate, right? And Polkadot is at the cutting edge of blockchain technology because the goal is to build, right? Is to build a censorship resistance and resilient system. Yeah, Wilfred.
All right. Thank you very much.
Sorry, Wilfred, I can no longer hear you. All right, maybe it's network is fault. I'm just telling I can no longer hear you. So.
Hear me?
Yeah, Doreen.
Hear me?
I can hear you now.
You want to like interact with the front end? Is there like a special way to go about it, or that's like another topic for another day?
Okay, yeah, it's going to be another topic for another day.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Quinta.
Okay, Femi, how is the connection between the node and the contract that you just did? Like, how did you connect them so that how was the connection between the node loaded with the contract that
All right, so I like the way you think. You are trying to find like that concrete connection. I think the simple answer for me is I don't know. Right. So yeah, definitely they are connected, right? Because I ran my node in a random folder, but when I deployed my contracts in another folder, it was deployed to the node, right? So there are maybe it's the way it's built, it's monitoring for Rust-like things, and there's a connection going on in the background. Yeah, so I'm not doing anything special to connect it.
So it's like you first run the node, like you have to run them concurrently. Do you run the node concurrently with the contract deployment?
Yes. So that contract instantiation has to work with the node. That's if you are doing it locally, right? Because I'm using a local node, right? Because I want to test, right? I want to do it's a development node. So if you want to instantiate, it has to happen on the node. And the node is like a blockchain, right? Blockchain nodes. So it's like a blockchain, so it has to happen on that node. Samson, your hand is raised.
Yes, so I downloaded the node and I extracted the file. So I can see two folders or two files in it, the ETH RPC and the ink node. Now, my question is actually being displayed like a document. How do I open it? Did you
Okay.
get me?
I didn't quite hear you, but let me just repeat what I think you said. Right. So you said I think my network is poor actually. Let me just check now. So you said you downloaded the node, right? And you extracted it.
Yes.
And what did you say
Yes.
inside it?
ETH RPC and ink node.
Ink node, okay. So there is a command. If you look at the doc, there's a command for making your node executable. Do you have the doc open?
Yes, I have. I have it
Okay.
open.
So this, you need to run this command. Are you using a Mac or a Linux? I think it works for
Mac.
both. Yeah, I think, I use a Mac, so this worked for me. I think it works for both. So you need to make it executable, right? And once you
So,
make it executable, you
okay.
then you can start your
Okay.
node.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So talking about in V6, right? We have the why in V6, right? So like I said, Polkadot trying to innovate, right? And so they came up with this idea of using changing the executable of their contracts or their programs from WASM to RixV, right? And that this RixV again. So what's usually initial ink contract used to compile down to WASM. I showed you some files earlier when we did our build, and we saw flipper.polka.vm. Initially, that used to be flipper.wasm, right? And so there was an engine, like an environment. Let's call it a virtual machine now, but it's not exactly a virtual machine, I believe, right? That will run that wasm blob, right? But now that virtual machine has been changed to a RixV based virtual machine. And why did they do that, right? So these are some of the reasons why, right? So it's meant to be faster, right? So to bring improved scalability and reduced costs for users, right? So someone did the research and he did some benchmarking. So this is why this change has happened, right? And the building is still going on. That's what I'd say. And so Ink V6 is the version of Ink that can be run on Polka VM, right? Polka VM, which is the new virtual machine, RixV. And now when we build our Ink contracts, it gives us that part of Polka VM. And if you use, say, Ink V5, what's it? Okay. So if there are many Ink on, but currently, Kusa that you can spend and all that. You can it's how ink right. And so why if you are working within Polkadot, yeah, Becca.
So I wanted to let you know that you are breaking. You were breaking at some point.
Okay, I'll turn off my camera. Hopefully that would help. Thank you. So in case you didn't get something, please just let me know. Is it better?
Kindly, Femi, just repeat, because when you are talking, you are breaking.
Okay, but am I sounding better now? Am I still breaking?
No, you are sounding better.
All right, thank you. Okay, so let me just go up a bit. I think talk about. Should I start from here? All right, so I was talking about where you can deploy your ink projects, right? And I was talking about the fact that if you are using previous versions of ink, like V5, there are many more chains you can deploy your ink project on, such as LF0. But if you are using ink V6 currently, these are the chains you can deploy on, right? Kusama, which is a canary network for Polkadot. In fact, I think they are trying to transition from the canary network to like a privacy-focused network. Yeah, so you can deploy on Kusama. You can deploy on Pop Network. Pop Network is a parachain on Polkadot. What that means, parachain is like quote unquote a roll-up on Polkadot, and you can deploy on Pasio. Pasio is a testnet on Polkadot. Okay. So talking about ink and the Polkadot SDK. So the Polkadot SDK is another name for substrates, right? And so this part is just to talk about why you would want to use ink in the first place, right? When working with Polkadot SDK or substrates, why would you want to use ink? The advantages, right? So number one item on the list is the fact that if ink gives you access to some frame types. What is frame? Frame is like a framework, right? Within Polkadot SDK, right? For, let's say, building palettes, building modules within Polkadot SDK, right? And there are some custom types in this framework, right? And so if we're using another programming language, like say Solidity, which was just introduced to Polkadot, right? You won't have like native access to these types. But using ink, you would have access to these types, and this will make your life easier, right? You don't have to start creating types from scratch. You don't have to worry about security and all that, right? Another thing is how similar they are. You'll be using something very familiar, right? Or something very similar to the environment you are working on, right? Because ink and frame are both Rust-based domain-specific languages. That's what DSL stands for, right? So another final reason is that you can use ink to prototype your ideas before finally using the Polkadot SDK to build a chain for them, right? So ink makes, if you go through that link, you'll see some explanations about this, but ink makes building stuff faster compared to using Polkadot SDK. And also, converting your ink contracts to your Polkadot SDK-based dedicated chain is very easy because of the other points I listed above. All right. Do we have questions around this? Okay. I think that's me. There are no questions. Okay, so here are just a few opportunities related to using ink, right? You can go to the links. Let's quickly click through the links. Right, this is what is called the incubator. It's basically an incubator. I feel like I've been doing this a lot, using the same word twice. It's basically an incubator for ink projects, right? So you can get funding for interesting projects after they are reviewed by the curators. And also there is an ink tutorial section, right? That you are paid to contribute tutorials to the ink, right? So if you look at the websites, okay, I thought I was sharing this incubator parts. Okay, so this is the incubator website. You can visit it later. And this is the tutorial repository. Okay, and if you look at the ink websites, let me go there. There's a section for tutorials. So after you submit your tutorials and you are rewarded, tutorials will be published here. All right, so I think this is my last slide. Here are some useful ink resources. We've already seen the websites, right? I added this Telegram community, pop network, because it's very, oh my gosh. So there are some useful ink resources, right? I added this pop network Telegram community because lots of questions are asked there. So this repo, ink examples, it's a very useful repo, right? So you can see.
Femi, can you please send all those links to the chat box, please?
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll share the slides. Once I share the slide, you can access the links. How about that? Slide. I'll share it again for the sake of people that just joined. Right, so you'll see, yeah, is that Sunday?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So I want to ask, is there like a general group or a Discord channel or something
Okay, yeah,
where we
so
can always revert to these resources?
yes, there is an ink Telegram, right? We also have the Polka.Africa Discord channel. Okay, I think I need to share that with you now. You can also ask questions there. So give me a minute, please. Let me just get the link to the Polka.Africa Discord channel. Clear. So meanwhile, do we have any other question? I think we are at the tail end of our.
No, I don't. So I'm fine.
All right. So someone said they had a way to to build your ink contracts and make them way lighter. So this is a link to the Polka.Africa Discord. Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask, my question is in relation to the poker game. I wanted to know, does the introduction of this, does it break anything in terms of composability of palettes, or everything just remains the same and poker VM is just another palette?
Yeah, everything remains the same. At the palette level, there is not much breaking change, right? At least as far as I know, palette level. Yeah, but at the contract level, right, a little bit, but yeah, it's been worked on. that good?
Yeah, that's good.
Interesting repo, by the way. A very interesting repo. I mean, if you want to build something with ink, right, let me see something cool that okay, this basic contract color, for example, right? Contracts. So yeah, flip stuff from the other contract. Yeah, you know.
I think your voice was breaking again.
Oh, like just now, right?
Yes,
Feel
some
better
minutes
now?
ago. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. That's my MTN network. All right. Yeah, Samson.
Yes, I saw you said the call is being recorded. Will it be uploaded on is there a YouTube channel that the video is going to be uploaded to?
This video Discord. I can't get.
I didn't get that. I didn't get that. You're breaking, sir.
Says we showed on Poker.Africa Discord.
Oh, okay. I just joined now. Thank you very much.
All right. So, I think what we can try to achieve, we have another class tomorrow at the same time. So what we can try to achieve tomorrow is get everybody. This is a link to the Discord. To get everybody onboarded, like create your first smart contract, right? Just with the way I've done it. So there's an assignment actually for everyone, right? And I'll just share the form here, right? So just create a simple contract, upload it to your Samsung.
My question is, now we deployed using the local node. Can we access the contracts we deployed on maybe the Explorer?
All right, good question. Thank you for that question. I'm going to do that just now. Let me show you how to do that just now.
All right. And is there any way we can get maybe testnet tokens and
yeah. Okay. So to see your contract on like on the UI, there's something called the contracts UI. All right, let me get that link quickly. All right. So this is the Ink contracts UI. Right. I hope you can hear me clearly. I hope I'm not breaking up.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So I am going to switch to, I think this is the old one. Please give me a minute. Let me get the new link for the new contracts UI. Because I can see that that one is not. Okay, I found it. This one is not showing V5. Okay, if I switch to V6. All right, if I switch to V6, all right, it works. All right, so deploying Ink V6 on my contracts UI. So I'm not connected to, I don't have a substrate account here. So I can't say, I can't use pop network. But let's connect to local node. Okay. So I'll upload my contract, right? So the account we are using is the default Alice account. That's what I sound just now, right? So we're going to give our contract a name. Please, who was the person that asked about the UI? Was it Samson?
Yes, I'm the one.
Okay, let me give my contract name Samson. All right, so I'll upload my contract bundle. Yeah. I move this projects. Flipper. Right. So remember we had our target files, right? Yeah. So we are going to use this flipper.contracts. It contains both the metadata and the contracts, the built contracts. So I uploaded it. All right. So it already tells us this is, excuse me, this is a valid contract bundle. It showed everything, right? If I added my name and all here to show you, it showed me all the functions I have. I go to next. And one of the beauties of Ink, it already did a dry run for me and tells me that the instantiation will be successful. It basically means it will get deployed. Right, so I do what's next. Right. So it's been, I think, upload and instantiates, right? Okay. I think it's going to.
Can anyone hear Femi? Because I couldn't hear him.
Same here.
No.
Hi, Femi. You there?
Let me reach out to him, please.
Is Femi talking or?
He isn't.
Hi guys, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so sorry about that. I don't know. Yeah, Sandy Solomon, you wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, so the question I have, right, is concerning the whole setup and the contract name. Like we had when you uploaded the Flipper file, right? And then we had the rest of the contract data, like the functions and what is it called?
Okay.
Yeah. Now, where does the contract naming happen? I thought it's meant to happen. Is it in the code you name the contract or when deploying on the testnet like this?
So you name your contract in the code. So which was why I was trying to use a different name here. I hope that's not why my stuff is failing, because I wanted to show that the name you use here doesn't really matter. Right, this is just to identify it on the UI.
Your screen has stopped. You've stopped sharing your screen.
All right, thank you. So I wanted to show that the what you use here doesn't matter. Okay, so you name your contracts in the file, like while you are coding, right? So this one is just to identify it on this UI, right? Does that answer your question?
Yes, yeah, I think it does.
All right, all right. So yeah, this is a UI for interacting with your contract. Currently, we're interacting on local node, right? We could have used other networks, or we're using the node. Remember the node I'm running on my laptop, right? So this is what we're using. And let me do something. So let me get, so the current value I have is 4, instantiated with its weight. So let me flip, right? So a dry run was already done, and it tells me that, okay, this will be successful, but let me actually call my contracts. All right, so it's been flipped. So let me say confirm. I will do a get again, and now it's been changed to true. Did you guys follow that?
Can you
So this
please
is a
come
UI.
again? Just come
Okay.
again and ask me.
So this is basically a UI for interacting with your contract, right? So when you select this get, look at the title of this, the message to send to this contract, message to send. It's currently on get, right? And this is the outcome. If you see the title here, this is outcome, right? Return value true, right? So now, remember I did a get on in my command line the other time, right? So now, let me flip. I want to flip now, right? So there's no return value here. This is just telling me the outcome, that the contract call will be successful. This is a dry run. Remember I talked about dry run the other time, that your code just doing a dry run and all that. So let me call my contracts. So call success over here. And now I want to get again. I want to see what is in what the Boolean value is now stored in my contracts. Remember it was true the last time, but now it is false. So yeah, this is a UI for interacting with your Android. Yeah, Sunday Solomon.
All right, so I noticed something. So I don't know if it's because we're on the local node, right? Here,
Okay.
the caller is set to Alice. When interacting with the, say, the test net, right? Do we still have to set the caller the same way, or it just connects directly with our, say, MetaMask and uses the tokens?
Okay, so if you're interacting with another testnet, right? You can select the caller from here. Then your address will show up here. Okay, so what I think.
So
Yeah.
if it's the actual testnet, our address will be part of the options.
Yes, it will be part of the options so far it's connected.
Okay.
So if I try to switch to pop network, right, it's not going to connect because like I don't have a wallet on this account, right, on this browser. But if it will connect to my accounts, and I'll be able to interact with my accounts. Okay, so I think what we are going to do against tomorrow's class, right, is that everyone should repeat what exactly we did here in terms of getting your. Is there still an issue with sound?
Slightly.
Slightly. Okay, slightly. Slightly is better. You can manage that. You can work with that. All right. So yeah, create your Flipper contract template, right? Build it and run it, right? Add your Flipper address. Add your Flipper address here. Add your Flipper contract address here as a comment, just the way I've done mine, right? Push it to your repo and send it to, and add it to this form I'm going to share now. Very simple. Very, very simple task. So we're actually going to look through all the repos that are submitted. And we are taking extra care to recognize people that follow through with the assignments, because we don't want it to be just a passive activity, right? We want people to actually engage themselves. So, and yeah, Ayola.
Can you repeat the task again?
All right, so I'm going to share this to show you what I want you to do. All right, so this is what I want you to do. All right, so following this part, following this documentation, the doc, right? So it's very simple. Install everything you need to install. Cargo, Rust, and all that. Right. So create your new Flipper contracts. Right. Build it. Right. Start your node and all that. Then deploy it. Instantiate it on your local node. Okay. Then after instantiating, let me share my entire screen so I'll show you. After instantiating, yeah, you're going to get the contract address. So add the contract address to your file as a comment like this, right? And then push it to your GitHub repo and add your repo to the form. Is that clear? Okay. Let me share my slides. Let me share my slides. Yeah, Samson.
Please, I am having an instantiation error when I'm trying to instantiate the contract using the UI. So I don't know if I'm doing something wrong.
Okay, instantiation error. And you did not do anything like change your contract in any way, right?
No, I didn't change the contract. I just uploaded the contract. I named the flipper.contract.
Okay.
Then I named the contract. Then he gave me the contract hash. Then he gave me the functions that I have, the new default, flip, and get.
Okay.
The function. So I clicked on next. So I'm having deployment constructor.
Okay.
So under it, there's a drop down for default and new.
Can I quickly interrupt you?
Okay.
I wanted to use this instead. This link I'm sharing now. This UI instead.
Okay. Okay, instead of the UI that's used.
Yeah. I think if you use this UI, you notice that there are less options in the chains you can select, right?
Okay.
Compared to the other one. Yeah.
All right. All right.
So use this one. Actually, when my network was faulty the other time, I had issues instantiating my contracts because I was using the other UI. I thought it was my network, but apparently it's actually the UI. Yeah. Sunday.
So, sir,
Yeah. Wants to speak, please.
just asking, is it fine for us to have like a WhatsApp group or something so we can easily collaborate and help each other with certain information on probably bug fixes.
Okay, okay. WhatsApp group, yeah, it's fine. So what we are going to do is, I will get back to you on this probably tomorrow, or we'll send an email. We'll send a blast email to everybody with the group link and all.
All right, thank you. It worked.
Okay. Oh, okay, great.
Okay, Femi, can you
All right.
just repeat on the issue of assignment?
All right.
I had
All
some
right. I'll
problem
do that
with
just now.
you're talking.
Okay.
You are
So,
talking,
by
you're
the way,
like, you are giving an
yeah, I can
assignment
hear
of
you.
what?
Quinta, all right, I'll repeat
Yeah.
it. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah, I'll repeat it.
Yeah,
So,
thank
by
you.
the way,
Thank you.
I think you are in the wrong folder, right? You have to run this command in your ink node folder, the folder that has your ink node. Okay. All right, so the assignment, Quinta, is that I just want you to instantiate an ink contract in your local node and then send me, and then add the contract address to your, as a comment in your lib.rs, right, of your Flipper contract, right? And then, submit that, upload it to a repo and submit the repo in the form. Okay. So basically what you would do is you would create a simple Flipper contract, right? You build it. So when you build it, right, you get all that. Then you will do what? You would, download your node, make it executable, and then run it. You start your node. Then you run this to instantiate your contracts, right? And then when you instantiate your contract, just like I did the other time, you will get a contract address. You recall? Here's my contract address. All right, there you are. You get the contract address. If you can see my screen, you will notice my contract address here. Okay. So, this was where I instantiated mine. And this is my contract address. So you just add your contract address as a comment here. And you upload it to GitHub and submit your GitHub link. Quinta, is that clear?
Yeah, it's clear.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, do we have any more questions? All right, so tomorrow we are going to be answering more questions. I'm sure when people try out to do this, maybe some people might face a few challenges. That's fine. Can come and ask. And also, I think one thing people want to see is deploying to something like, I think I'll deploy it to Pop Network tomorrow also, right? And we might also talk about maybe dive deeper into the contract itself a bit. So I think we can wrap up for today at this point. How do we feel? Please, those asking for the WhatsApp Telegram group, join the Discord first. If we create a WhatsApp or Telegram group, you'll get it tomorrow. So I'll send the Discord link again. Let me also send the link to the slides that I just joined. How do we leave full screen for slides? All right. Copy the link. Here's a link to the slides. Okay. So let me stop recording.